Shabbat Shalom. Our scripture reading for today is Isaiah chapter 33, verses 20 through 22. Look upon Zion, the city of our solemnities. Thine eyes shall see Jerusalem, a quiet habitation, a tabernacle that cannot be taken down. Not one of the stakes thereof shall ever be removed, neither shall any of the cords thereof be broken. But there the glorious Yahweh will be unto us a place of broad rivers and streams, wherein shall no galley with oars, neither shall gallant ship pass thereby. For Yahweh is our judge, Yahweh is our lawgiver, Yahweh is our king. He will save us.
Shabbat Shalom, family. Our selection today, 'tis the old ship of Zion.
Tis the old ship of Zion. Tis the old ship of Zion. Tis the old ship of Zion. Get on board. Get on board. 'Tis the old ship of Zion. 'Tis the old ship of Zion. 'Tis the old ship of Zion. Get on board. Get on board. It has landed many a thousand. It has landed many a thousand. It has landed many a thousand. Get on board. Get on board. There's no danger in the water. There's no danger in the water. There's no danger in the water. Get on board. Get on board. It will take you home to glory. It will take you home to glory. It will take you
The oracles of the UCI. 1 Peter chapter 4, verses 7 through 11. But the end of all things is at hand. Be you therefore sober and watch unto prayer. And above all things have favorite love among yourselves, for love shall cover the multitude of sins. Use hospitality one to another without grudging. As every man has received the gift, even so minister the same one to another as good stewards of the manifold grace of Elohim. If any man speak, let him speak as the oracles of Elohim. If any man minister, let him do it as of the ability which Elohim gives, that Elohim in all things may be glorified through Yahshua the Mashiach, to whom be praise and dominion forever and ever. Amen. Ephesians chapter 4, verses 29 through chapter 5 and verse 4. Let no corrupt communication proceed out of your mouth, but that which is good to the use of edifying, that it may minister grace unto the hearers. And grieve not the Holy Spirit of Elohim, whereby you're sealed until the day of redemption. Let all bitterness and wrath and anger and clamor and evil speaking be put away from you with all malice. And be you kind one to another, tender-hearted, forgiving one another, even as Elohim for Yahshua's sake has forgiven you. Be you therefore followers of Elohim, as dear children, and walk in love, as the Mashiach also have loved us, and has given himself for us an offering and sacrifice to Elohim for a sweet-smelling savor. But fornication and all uncleanness or covetousness, let it not be once named among you as become saints. Neither filthiness, nor foolish talking, nor jesting, which are not convenient, but rather giving of thanks. Ecclesiastes chapter 5, verses 1 and 2. Keep your foot when you go to the house of Elohim, and be more ready to hear than to give the sacrifice of fools, for they consider not that they do evil. Be not rash with your mouth, let not your heart be hasty to utter anything before Elohim. For Elohim is in heaven, and you upon earth. Therefore, let your words be few. Exodus chapter 23, verses 20 and 21. Behold, I send an angel before you to keep you in the way, and to bring you into the place which I have prepared. Beware of him, and obey his voice. Provoke him not, for he will not pardon your transgressions, for my name is in him. Revelations chapter 3, verses 20 through 22. Behold, I stand at the door and knock. If any man hear my voice and open the door, I will come in to him and will sup with him and he with me. To him that overcomes will I grant to sit with me in my throne, even as I have also overcame and am sat down with my Father in his throne. He that has an ear, let him hear what the Spirit says unto the churches.
All right, Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Which is peace on Yahweh's holy Sabbath day. Welcome to another holy convocation that Yahweh has enjoined unto us here in Stone Mountain, Georgia. Praise Yahweh for having the opportunity to partake in this holy Sabbath. We have to really praise Yahweh that we were even born in the time that we were born in. There are levels of things that have to be gone through, and we have to consider, what if we were born during the time of slavery? You have a point where a kid come to arguing with you because their Xbox didn't work. They put the game in and it kept skipping. You realize that this kid would have been out there and had to work like a grown man, busting rocks, carrying logs. He working right beside his daddy, doing the same work his daddy doing. Now the kids get to wait. I go to school. That'll put off work for another 4 years. Maybe I'll go to another school, and maybe then even another one. So they get the luxury of not working. And I'm talking back-breaking labor children were doing. So when we hear these songs and things, I think we've become so far detached from the periods that brought us here that Yahweh is going to have to remind us of some things. Coming out of Egypt, he had to remind us who we were and what we meant to him, because we had some affinity to the gods of Egypt, even though they had mistreated us, Even though they had made merchandise of us, we still wanted the gods of Egypt. Soon as something went wrong, we wanted the gods of Egypt to make us feel warm at night. Well, here we go again. And things are increasing here. No matter what we do, we still have these issues. You know, when you realize and when we become educated enough to find out, well, wait a minute. They told us that we were criminals, that more crime happens in black areas. You go back far enough and find out, whoa. The prison system was created for us. Then you even create a loophole that said that if we were somehow criminals, then we could be slaves again. What an amazing thing. You just don't happen to do that? No, it was set up from the beginning. But because things have changed in the way that it has been done, we don't have to deal with the loyalty to Yahweh because man has given us a lot of other things. So with all these other things, we don't really have to depend on Yahweh like that. Well, he's going to have to change that. He says, I left these nations among you to prove you, to know whether or not you are going to serve me or no. So he leaves some things. Of course, we want all situations of aggression, all problems. We want all those things removed. He said, no. I'm going to leave that problem right there next door to you because I'm going to see if you're going to serve me with that problem there. Well, considering that, we're going to have to go through some things to remind us of what loving your Elohim with all your heart and all your mind is. Let's begin today's sermon in 2 Samuel chapter 15. 2 Samuel chapter 15, and we're going to start at verse 13. And today's sermon is entitled, The Degrees of Loyalty. So as we go about this journey, we find out that there's loyalty on one level, and then you get to another level and find out, oh no, there's no loyalty on that level. And what Yahweh wants is loyalty on all levels. Go ahead.
Verse 13. And there came a messenger to Dawid, saying, the hearts of the men of Israel are after Absalom. And Dawid said unto all his servants that were with him at Jerusalem, arise and let us flee, for we shall not else escape from Absalom.
Now, you're talking about what feels like the biggest thing of betrayal. That King Dawid is having to flee the city that he warred for. He put Israel together. And his own son is making him flee from this land. Because at this point, his sons are wanting his spot. But he also remembers some things that he did in his past that warranted some of these things. Go ahead.
You know, when you look at it also, we got to realize when that fork in the road comes, hey man, we got to separate.
Oh yeah. And that's very, very difficult for us to do because, you know, we are creatures of habit. So we get accustomed to certain things. But even when you read in this book and it start talking about, you know, the house of Dawid and their wives apart. So it gets to a point where Yahweh said, no, I got to get your full heart, your full, you know, attention. I need all the wives to go over here. All you men, come here. Oh, we're going to have some serious issues. Some of us ain't never been separated from Sugar Booger. You understand? So we're going to have some issues right there. But see, this also gives him an opportunity to deal with them and to deal with us. Go ahead.
Yeah, but in that separation, how many of us go, well, what y'all talking about over there?
Right.
What y'all we dealing with y'all brothers with? Mm-hmm. If he wanted you to know, he'd have you over here.
Yeah.
Make speed to depart, lest he overtake us suddenly, and bring evil upon us, and smite the city with the edge of the sword. And the king's servants said unto the king, behold, your servants are ready to do whatsoever my master the king shall appoint. And the king went forth, and all his household after him. And the king left 10 women which were concubines to keep the house. And the king went forth, and all the people after him, and tarried in a place that was far off. And all his servants passed on beside him, and all the Kitharites, and all the Pelethites, and all the Gittites, 600 men which came after him from Gath, passed on before the king. Then said the king to Attiah the Gittite, Wherefore goeth you also with us? Return to your place, and abide with the king, for you are a stranger and also an exile. Whereas you cameth but yesterday, should I this day make you go up and down with us? Seeing I go whither I may, return you, and take back your brethren. Mercy and truth be with you. And Attai answered the king, and said, As Yahweh lives, and as my master the king lives, surely in what place my master the king shall be, whether in death or life, even there also will your servant be. And David said to Attai, Go and pass over. And Attai the Gittite passed over, and all his men, and all the little ones that were with him. And all the country wept with a loud voice, and all the people passed over. The king also himself passed over the brook Kidron, and all the people passed over toward the way of the wilderness.
You know, it's one thing to have to flee from your land because of the enemy that's completely foreign. It's something altogether different to have to flee from your land, and the enemy is your own people. Go ahead.
And lo, Zadok also, and all the Levites were with him, bearing the ark of the covenant of Elohim, and they set down the ark of Elohim, and Abiathar went up until all the people had done passing out of the city. And the king said unto Zadok, Carry back the ark of Elohim into the city. If I shall find favor in the eyes of Yahweh, he will bring me again, and show me both it and his habitation. But if he thus say, I have no delight in you, behold, here am I, let him do to me as seems good unto him.
Now, there's certain things that you might not understand. There are times when Israel does not have good outcome because the ark is not with them. He said, go ahead and send it back. See, a lot of times we put our loyalty and faith in things. He said, go ahead and send it back. If Yahweh delight in me, I don't need to have that. It doesn't need to be with me. Go ahead.
The king said also unto Zadok the priest, Are not you a seer? Return into the city in peace, and your 2 sons with you, Ahimaaz your son, and Jonathan the son of Abiathar. See, I will tarry in the plain of the wilderness, until there come word from you to certify me. Zadok therefore and Abiathar carried the ark of Elohim again to Jerusalem, and they tarried there.
So the king is putting a lot of trust into these priests here. A lot of trust. The ark is going back with them, and he won't come back unless they tell him. Go ahead.
And David went up by the ascent of Mount Olivet, and wept as he went up, and had his head covered, and he went barefoot, and all the people that was with him covered every man his head, and they went up weeping as they went up.
So Yahweh has this great weeping event. Remember when they were crying about Yahshua, when they were talking about, you men, why you stand gazing here? That same Yahshua who you have seen gone up shall come back in the same way. And they was where? The mount called Olivet. Go ahead.
And one told David, saying, Ahithophel is among the conspirators with Absalom. And David said, O Yahweh, I pray you, turn the counsel of Ahithophel into foolishness.
Now, Ahithophel was one of his counselors who had been a very good counselor. But now, he has changed sides. Go ahead.
And it came to pass that when David was come to the top of the mount, where he worshipped Elohim, behold, Hushai the Archite came to meet him with his coat rent and earth upon his head. Unto whom David said, If you pass on with me, then you shall be a burden unto me. But if you return to the city and say unto Absalom, I'll be your servant, O king, as I have been your father's servant hitherto, so will I now also be your servant. Then mayeth you for me defeat the counsel of Ahithophel. And have you not there with you Zadok and Abiathar the priests? Therefore it shall be that what things soever you shall hear out of the king's house, you shall tell it to Zadok and Abiathar the priests. Behold, they have there with them their two sons, Ahimaaz, Zadok's son, and Jonathan, Abiathar's son. And by them you shall send on to me everything that you can hear. So Hushai, David's friend, came into the city, and Absalom came into Jerusalem.
So even though the king is who he is, and he has his power with Yahweh, he still has to depend on other people. The king still has to depend on other people bringing him the information. He's not going to be where they are. He's not going to hear the things that they hear. He depends on them letting him know, look, this is what's happening. Now, if you show up, then this not going to happen. Let's go to chapter 17.
Verse 1. Moreover, Ahithophel said unto Absalom, let me now choose out 12,000 men, and I'll arise and pursue after David this night.
Now, understand, if this man has been King David's counselor, he knows the manner of how he moves. Now, David has prayed, let the counsel of Ahithophel turn into foolishness. See, a lot of times when people have the spirit to do a job, they believe that when they separate, that the spirit goes with them. And that's an awfully heavy gamble to take. But up until this point, his counsel was amazing. Go ahead.
And I'll come upon him while he is weary and weak-handed, and will make him afraid, and all the people that are with him shall flee, and I'll smite the king only. And I'll bring back all the people unto you. The man whom you seeketh is as if all return. So all the people shall be in peace. And the saying pleased Absalom well, and all the elders of Israel.
It pleased them well. This is what we're going to do to the king. We're going to bring the people back, but we're going to kill your daddy. And it pleased the elders. They've gotten together and made this decision. Go ahead.
Then said Absalom, call now Hushai the Archite also, and let us hear likewise what he says. And when Hushai was come to Absalom, Absalom spake unto him, saying, Ahithophel has spoken after this manner. Shall we do after this saying, or after his saying? If not, speak you. And Hushai said unto Absalom, the counsel that Ahithophel has given is not good at this time. For said Hushai, you knoweth your father and his men, that they be mighty men, and they be shaft in their minds as a bear robbed of her wealths in the field. And your father is a man of war, and will not lodge with the people. Behold, he is hid now in some pit or in some other place. And it will come to pass, when some of them be overthrown at the first, that whosoever hears it will say, there's a slaughter among the people that follow Absalom. And he also that is valiant, whose heart is as the heart of a lion, shall utterly melt. For all Israel knows that your father is a mighty man, and they which be with him are valiant men. Therefore I counsel that all Israel be generally gathered unto you, from Dan even to Beersheba, as the sand that is by the sea for multitude, and that you go to battle in your own person. So shall we come upon him in some place where he shall be found, and we will light upon him as the dew falleth on the ground. And of him and of all the men that are with him there shall not be left so much as one. Moreover, if he be gotten into a city, then shall all Israel bring ropes to that city, and we will draw it into the river, until there be not one small stone found there. And Absalom and all the men of Israel said, the counsel of Hushai the Archite is better than the counsel of Ahithophel.
All right, now, David sent him to make sure that there was an opposing counsel. Go ahead.
For Yahweh has appointed to defeat the good counsel of Ahithophel. To the intent that Yahweh might bring evil upon Absalom.
So, Ahithophel's counsel was still good, but it was then presented as if it was not good. Go ahead.
Then said Hushai unto Zadok and to Abiathar the priest, Thus and thus did Ahithophel counsel Absalom and the elders of Israel, and thus have I counseled. Now therefore send quickly and tell David, saying, Lodge not this night in the plains of the wilderness, but speedily pass over, lest the king be swallowed up and all the people that are with him. Now Jonathan and Ahimaaz stayed by Enrogel, for they might not be seen to come into the city. And a wench went and told them, and they went and told King David. Nevertheless, a lad saw them and told Absalom, but they went both of them away quickly, and came to a man's house in Beharim, which had a well in his court, whither they went down. And the woman took and spread a covering over the well's mouth, and spread ground corn thereon, and the thing was not known. And when Absalom's servants came to the woman to the house, they said, Where is Ahimaaz and Jonathan? And the woman said unto them, They be gone over the brook of water. And when they had sought and could not find them, they returned to Jerusalem.
Now, in a lot of things we pray and we say, Yahweh be with us. We don't consider, that means that you're going to have to do some stuff. That means that you're still going to be into some very uncomfortable situations. We want everything to be in comfort for us. Man, you're talking about a king having to go from hill to cave, running from his own son. Go ahead.
And it came to pass, after they were departed, that they came up out of the well, and went and told King David, and said unto David, Arise and pass quickly over the water, for thus has Ahithophel counseled against you. Then David arose, and all the people that were with him, and they passed over Jordan. By the morning light there lacked not one of them that was not gone over Jordan. And when Ahithophel saw that his counsel was not followed...
Now listen, when Ahithophel saw that his counsel was not followed, go ahead.
He saddled his ass, and arose, and gat him home to his house, to his city, and put his household in order, and hanged himself, and died, and was buried in the sepulchre of his father.
Now, all they had to do was have his advice not kept. His counsel was still good, but it was made to believe that it wasn't good. And as soon as it wasn't accepted, he was done. There was no more strength in him. But because of his disloyalty, he still had the natural gift. But the natural gift outside of where it was assigned to be did not prosper him. The same natural gift that he was able to use with the king got him killed without the king. That natural gift was no longer being used for Yahweh. Let's go to 1 Kings chapter 1. See, we have to consider these events, because we're going to have events that we're going to have to go through. And we can't just click our heels and say, there's no place like Jerusalem. And we just going to end up where we want to be. No, there's a process. And even in that process, Yahweh is also working on us. So the process is not just a process for us to get there. The process has the process for you to get there physically, and then the process has it in it for you to get there spiritually. See, if you arrive at a place physically, before you are spiritually ready to be there, you, my friend, are going to be destroyed. You have to be spiritually ready for the place that you are physically at. Go ahead. 1 Kings chapter 1. We're going to start that at verse 1.
Now King David was old and stricken in years, and they covered him with cloths, but he got no heat. Wherefore his servant said unto him, Let there be sought for my master the king a young virgin, and let her stand before the king, and let her cherish him, and let her lie in your bosom, that my master the king may get heat. So they sought for a fair damsel throughout all the coast of Israel, and found Abishag a Shunammite, and brought her to the king. And the damsel was very fair, and cherished the king, and ministered to him, but the king knew her not. Then Adoniah, the son of Haggith, exalted himself, saying, I'll be king. And he prepared him chariots and horsemen and 50 men to run before him.
Now, this is the second son that then goes and decides that he is ready to be king. Now, he already had, one situation. Go ahead.
And his father had not displeased him at any time in saying, Why have you done so? And he also was a very goodly man, and his mother bare him after Absalom. And he conferred with Joab the son of Zeruiah, and with Abiathar the priest, and they, following Adoniah, helped him.
Okay, stop. Now, Abiathar was the priest that was there during the betrayal of Absalom. He was faithful on that level. When his other son came, Joab is a captain. He's got a war captain and a priest that now turns away and follows the son. Now this very man was the one who was with the ark the last time. But that loyalty didn't last when this one came. And our thought process goes that once somebody shows loyalty one time, that maybe they're going to always be loyal. That's not what this book says. This priest was loyal. But that second go around, not at all. Go ahead.
But Zadok the priest, and Benaiah the son of Jehoiada, and Nathan the prophet, and Shimei, and Rei, and the mighty men which belonged to David were not with Adoniah.
So they knew not to call some people. Why did he know not to call Zadok? They went and told Joab. He went and got Abiathar. Didn't go get Zadok. They didn't go get Benaiah, the son of Jehoiada, Nathan the prophet, Shimei. They didn't go get any of them. They knew nothing about the scheme. How is it that they never talked to them? Their loyalty was already known before the question was asked. So you only hear about the scheme if there's a question in which way you're going to go. When your loyalty is known up front, you shall be blindsided with this event. Sometimes you say, if I had known, if you had known, that means there was a question about your loyalty. You ain't gonna know. But let me show you the beauty of Yahweh. He will always have some people in the midst that you think there's a question with their loyalty. But it's really not. That question in their loyalty is so they can get the information and take it to the loyal ones. Keep reading.
And Adoniah slew sheep and oxen and fat cattle by the stone of Zoheleth, which is by Enrogel, and called all his brethren, the king's sons, and all the men of Yehudah, the king's servants. But Nathan the prophet, and Benaiah, and the mighty man, and Shlomo his brother, he called not. Wherefore Nathan spake unto Bathsheba, the mother of Shlomo, saying, Have you not heard that Adoniah, the son of Haggith, does reign, and David our master knows it not? Now therefore come, let me, I pray you, give you counsel, that you may save your own life and the life of your son Shlomo. Go and get you in unto King David, and say unto him, Did not you, my master, O king, swear unto your handmaid, saying, Assuredly Shlomo your son shall reign after me, and he shall sit upon your throne? Why then does Adoniah reign? Behold, while you yet talketh there with the king, I also will come in after you and confirm your words.
So even though they're doing something that they know is righteous, even though they're doing something that they know, okay, is going to save our lives, they still have to do it a certain kind of way. Look, you go in, and then I'm going to come in behind you so that I confirm this. What happened? Has to be two witnesses. Even in the way that they're dealing with it according to law. Go ahead.
You know, he's telling her how to present this. You can't go in there all huffy and puffy and rude.
You got
I
it.
think you're going to get somewhere with the king.
Right. Go ahead.
And Bathsheba went in onto the king into the chamber, and the king was very old. And Abishag the Shunammite ministered unto the king.
Now, what if she felt some kind of way now? Hold on. There's a wife going in there, and Abishag the Shunammite is in there with the king. Hold on now. Now she's supposed to be doing the job. But what if she go in there and she's supposed to be doing the job, but now her feelings just got, now who is this little Pop-Tart? Now what happens if now she forget the whole job? People's lives are at stake at this point. Now what if feelings take over right at this point? Well, I was going to come here to ask about who was supposed to be king. But I see somebody's king in some things. What happened? That whole kingdom is lost. Because she felt some kind of way. But this is also why Yahweh said the leaders have to marry certain kind of women. Because they have to be in control to a certain degree. Least the attitude of that woman causes the whole kingdom to fall. Because she get in her feelings. And then she got the key to his heart. So now he in his feelings. Now all these people dead because he in his feelings because she was in her feelings. Go ahead.
And Bathsheba bowed and did obeisance unto the king. And the king said, What would you? And she said unto him, My master, you sweareth by Yahweh your Elohim unto your handmaid, saying, Assuredly Shlomo your son shall reign after me, and he shall sit upon your throne. And now, behold, Adoniah reigns. And now, my master the king, you knoweth it not. And he has slain oxen and fat cattle and sheep in abundance, and has called all the sons of the king, and Abiathar the priest, and Joab the captain of the host. But Shlomo your servant has he not called.
So he has a priest, he has a captain, a war captain. Now you know, if she gets too far in her feelings, that's her son, who's supposed to be anointed king. You realize she affects his rulership if she get in her feelings, if she go in here and handle this wrong. Go ahead.
And you, my master, O king, the eyes of all Israel are upon you, that you should tell them who shall sit on the throne of my master the king after him. Otherwise it shall come to pass, when my master the king shall sleep with his fathers, that I and my son Shlomo shall be counted offenders. And lo, while she yet talked with the king, Nathan the prophet also came in. And they told the king, saying, Behold, Nathan the prophet. And when he was come in before the king, he bowed himself before the king with his face to the ground. And Nathan said, My master, O king, have you said, Adonai shall reign after me, and he shall sit upon your throne?
All right, so witness number 2, according to the law. But even in their bringing it, they didn't bring it at the same time. Otherwise, you have to wonder, if they both came together, would he have counted that as one witness? Go ahead.
For he's gone down this day, and has slain oxen and fat cattle and sheep in abundance, and has called all the king's sons and the captains of the host, and Abiathar the priest. And behold, they eat and drink before him, and say, Elohim save Adonai. But me, even me, your servant, and Zadok the priest, and Benaiah the son of Jehoiada, and your servant Shlomo, has he not called? Is this thing done by my master the king, and you have not showed it unto your servant, who should sit on the throne of my master the king after him? Then King Dawid answered and said, Call me Bathsheba. And she came into the king's presence and stood before the king. And the king swore and said, As Yahweh lives, that has redeemed my soul out of all distress, even as I swear unto you by Yahweh Elohim of Israel, saying, Assuredly, Shlomo your son shall reign after me, and he shall sit upon my throne in my stead. Even so will I certainly do this day.
Now, you have to look at the situations in a different angle. Yes, one son exalts himself. But as King Dawid is getting older and weaker, as the manner of men of how we operate, we drag our feet on things. There is an anointed king that's supposed to come after him, but he's still waiting because he's still king. Yahweh needs that anointing to happen before he passed, and he's not doing it. So this little rising up helps do the job that needs to be done. Because when you have a king and he has 20 sons, Israel is about to get tore apart in this family fight for control. You liable to have toddlers in the fight, you know. His kid ain't even potty trained. I should be king. Little boy, sit down. Yahweh makes sure that this business is being taken care of. So a lot of times we'll look at the bad part of something. But if that was just one brother who did that, imagine what happened when the king passes and all of his sons then declare that they should be king. We might not have no more Israel. Go ahead.
Then Bathsheba bowed with her face to the earth and did reverence to the king and said, Let my master, King Dawid, live forever. And King Dawid said, Call me Zadok the priest, and Nathan the prophet, and Benaiah the son of Jehoiada. And they came before the king. The king also said unto them, Take with you servants of your master, and cause Shlomo my son to ride upon mine own mule, and bring him down to Gihon.
All right, so there's some things that you've probably watched recently that you may not have fully understood. So there are people that are presenting themselves riding on a mule, coming into places. You got to connect all of these. So now you have when Yeshua comes in on the foal of an ass riding in, and they're talking about him. Understand, King David is now having his son ride on an animal that everybody knew was his to establish his son as the king. So when you see other individuals all of a sudden presenting this, you need to know that it's double fold, that they're presenting themselves as Messiah and king. You go out on the internet enough, you'll run into it. Go ahead.
And let Zadok the priest and Nathan the prophet anoint him their king over Israel, and blow you with the trumpet, and say, Elohim, save King Shlomo. And you shall come up after him, that he may come and sit upon my throne, for he shall be king in my stead. And I have appointed him to be ruler over Israel and over Yehudah. And Benaiah the son of Jehoiada answered the king and said, Amen. Yahweh Elohim of my master the king say so too. As Yahweh has been with my master the king, even so be he with Shlomo, and make his throne greater than the throne of my master King Dawid. So Zadok the priest and Nathan the prophet and Benaiah the son of Jehoiada and the Cherethites and the Pelethites went down and caused Shlomo to ride upon King Dawid's mule and brought him to Gihon. And Zadok the priest took an horn of oil out of the tabernacle and anointed Shlomo.
Now, you understand then why the revolt to be king also needed a priest. Now you see, now the priest is going to anoint him. Now you understand why the son took a captain, and a priest. All right, go ahead.
And they blew the trumpet, and all the people said, Elohim save King Shlomo. And all the people came up after him. And the people piped with pipes and rejoiced with great joy, so that the earth rent with the sound of them.
When Dawid was anointed king, who did it? Samuel. Okay. So they had to take somebody to anoint him. So when he's putting together this scheme, he know he needs certain people in certain positions. He can't just say, I'm going to get these 5 people. No. It has to be 5 specific people in positions. Go ahead.
And Adoniah and all the guests that were with him heard it as they had made an end of eating. And when Joab heard the sound of the trumpet, he said, Wherefore is this noise of the city being in an uproar? And while he yet spake, behold, Jonathan the son of Abiathar the priest came. And Adoniah said unto him, Come in, for you are a valiant man, and bringeth good tidings. And Jonathan answered and said to Adoniah, Verily our master King Dawid has made Shlomo king. And the king has sent him with Zadok the priest and Nathan the prophet, and Benaiah the son of Jehoiada, and the Cherethites, and the Pelethites, and they have caused him to ride upon the king's mule. And Zadok the priest and Nathan the prophet have anointed him king in Gihon, and they are come up from thence rejoicing, so that the city rang again. This is the noise that you have heard. And also Shlomo sits on the throne of the kingdom.
Right. Now, had Dawid done this, even though he's a blessed and an anointed man, had he kept waiting, it would have been an issue. So Yahweh didn't come and float and go to King David and tell him, you need to do this, you need to do that. No, he brought forth a problem. And that problem need to be handled. Go ahead.
And moreover, the king's servants came to bless our master King Dawid, saying, Elohim make the name of Shlomo better than your name, and make his throne greater than your throne. And the king bowed himself upon the bed. And also thus said the king, Blessed be Yahweh Elohim of Israel, which has given one to sit on my throne this day, mine eyes even seeing it. And all the guests that were with Adoniah were afraid, and rose up, and went every man his way. And Adoniah feared because of Shlomo, and arose and went, and caught hold on the horns of the altar.
Now, you see how folk play? Oh, they big bad warriors until everything go down. Now he gonna hug the altar. Surely you're not gonna kill me right on the altar. Surely you're not gonna do that. So I'm just gonna hug it. Right. Go ahead.
And it was told Shlomo, saying, Behold, Adoniah fears King Shlomo, for, lo, he has caught hold on the horns of the altar, saying, Let King Shlomo swear unto me today that he will not slay his servant with the sword. And Shlomo said, If he will show himself a worthy man, where there shall not an hair of him fall to the earth. But if wickedness shall be found in him, he shall die. So King Shlomo sent, and they brought him down from the altar, and he came and bowed himself to King Shlomo, and Shlomo said unto him, Go to your house.
Right, and he was supposed to stay at that house. Let's go to Matthew chapter 25. So we have a priest and a captain. Now, the beauty of this, even though it's an ugly situation that nobody would have wanted to be a part of, but guess what now has the ability to happen? You have the king who now has had his son anointed as the next ruler. He now has the opportunity to give him instruction, specific instruction. And boy, does he. He gives him specific instruction. That would have never happened because he was dragging his feet on how to deal with this situation. He know he's growing old. He know all of this is happening, but he wasn't moving. This horrible event brought forth an opportunity for the next person to be anointed and specific instruction. And I'm sure there's some people that wish he hadn't got that opportunity. Because King David said, this one need to die, this one need to die, this one need to die. He wouldn't have been able to give that. Matthew chapter 25, and I want you to start at verse 31.
When the Son of Man shall come in his glory, and all the holy angels with him, then shall he sit upon the throne of his glory. And before him shall be gathered all nations, and he shall separate them one from another, as a shepherd divides his sheep from the goats.
Right. We have, everything that we have done has been about trying to gather together. Yet Yahweh is all about, from the beginning. Even we deal with Yahshua on the scene. He said, I came to cause division, to bring a sword. A sword divides. But everything that we are hearing is about come together, come together. This is about man and their one world government. Pull everything together. No separation between man and woman. No separation between man and beast. No separation. Put everything together. That's not what Yahshua is doing. So we don't see the movement of the adversary, the devil. We think togetherness is a beautiful thing. Read the book. Who talking about togetherness with everything? He said there need to be a separation between light and darkness. Man is putting light and darkness in the same place. And telling you need to accept it. Go ahead.
And he shall set the sheep on his right hand, but the goats on the left. Then shall the king say unto them on his right hand, Come, you blessed of my Father, inherit the kingdom prepared for you from the foundation of the world. For I was an hungered, and you gave me meat. I was thirsty, and you gave me drink. I was a stranger, and you took me in. Naked, and you clothed me. I was sick, and you visited me. I was in prison, and you came unto me. Then shall the righteous answer him, saying, Adonai, when saw we you an hungered, and fed you, or thirsty, and gave you drink? When saw we you a stranger, and took you in, or naked, and clothed you? Or when saw we you sick, or in prison, and came unto you? And the king shall answer and say unto them, Verily I say unto you, inasmuch as you have done it unto one of the least of these my brethren, you have done it unto me. Then shall he say also unto them on the left hand, Depart from me, you cursed, into everlasting fire, prepared for the devil and his angels. For I was an hungered, and you gave me no meat. I was thirsty, and you gave me no drink. I was a stranger, and you took me not in. Naked, and you clothed me not. Sick and in prison, and you visited me not. Then shall they also answer him, saying, Adonai, when saw we you a hungered, or a thirst, or a stranger, or naked, or sick, or in prison, and did not minister unto you? Then shall he answer them, saying, Verily I say unto you, inasmuch as you did it not to one of the least of these, you did it not to me. And these shall go away into everlasting punishment, but the righteous into life eternal.
All right. So then, as we've read before, they have purchased their seat, not knowing who they have done these things to. Now, let's go to Ezekiel chapter 44. Because there are some things that you run across, and it makes you wonder, okay, we know that the Levitical priests are, set up to do certain things, but we start talking about the setup of this final holy kingdom, and some things are being put in place, and he's giving authority to some individuals here. Ezekiel chapter 44, and let's start at verse 5.
And Yahweh said unto me, Son of man, mark well, and behold with your eyes, and hear with your ears all that I say unto you concerning all the ordinances of the house of Yahweh, and all the laws thereof. And mark well the entering in of the house, with every going forth of the sanctuary. And you shall say to the rebellious, even to the house of Israel, Thus says the Adonai, O you house of Israel, let it suffice you of all your abominations, in that you have brought into my sanctuary strangers, uncircumcised in heart and uncircumcised in flesh, to be in my sanctuary, to pollute it, even my house, when you offer my bread, the fat and the blood, and they have broken my covenant because of all your abominations. And you have not kept the charge of mine holy things, but you have set keepers of my charge and my sanctuary for yourselves. Thus says the Adonai Yah, no stranger, uncircumcised in heart, nor uncircumcised in flesh, shall enter into my sanctuary of any stranger that is among the children of Israel.
It says uncircumcised in heart or in flesh. See, we have, you know, a grace period in some things that Yahweh will allow up until that time. When you deal with uncircumcised in heart, wait a minute. That means it very well can be natural Israel that can't go in his sanctuary. We're so busy trying to look at certain people and say this person, what? We think it's something strange when they said, no. You can't come back here. Because the words that proceed out of your mouth show that you are uncircumcised in heart. Go ahead.
And the Levites that are gone away far from me, when Israel went astray, which went astray away from me after their idols, they shall even bear their lawlessness. Yet they shall be ministers in my sanctuary, having charge at the gates of the house, and ministering to the house. They shall slay the burnt offering and the sacrifice for the people, and they shall stand before them to minister unto them. Because they ministered unto them before their idols, and caused the house of Israel to fall into lawlessness. Therefore I have lifted up mine hand against them, says the Adonai Yahweh, and they shall bear their lawlessness. And they shall not come near unto me to do the office of a priest unto me, nor to come near to any of my holy things in the most holy place.
So then he has levels. Yeah, they priests, but it ain't but so close they can come unto Yahweh because of some other things that were done previously. Go ahead.
You know we're going to have a name for him, right? The priest of the least.
Hey, it is what it is. Go ahead.
But they shall bear their shame and their abominations which they have committed. But I'll make them keepers of the charge of the house, for all the service thereof, and for all that shall be done therein. But the priests, the Levites, the sons of Zadok, that kept the charge of my sanctuary, when the children of Israel went astray from me, they shall come near to me to minister unto me, and they shall stand before me to offer unto me the fat and the blood, says the Adonai Yah.
All right, so verse 15, but the priests, the Levites, the sons of Zadok, that kept the charge of my sanctuary when the children of Israel went astray from me. Well, we go back. Look at who was loyal time after time. They earned a closer seat. See, a lot of times when people think, I'm going to get me a good seat, I'm going to get there early. That ain't how you get the good seat. See, the good seat is earned. No matter how early you get there. As it is written, if a more honorable than you enter into the room, they will have you to move. Go ahead.
They shall enter into my sanctuary, and they shall come near to my table to minister unto me, and they shall keep my charge. And it shall come to pass that when they enter in at the gates of the inner court, they shall be clothed with linen garments, and no wall shall come upon them, whilst they minister in the gates of the inner court and within. They shall have linen bonnets upon their heads.
Right. Priests shall have head coverings. Yet when you look out on the internet to all these individuals who are supposed to be leading, you do not find a head covering. Now they might have many outfits, but none of them contain a head covering. This lets you know that they are not under the authority of Yahweh. They are showing you that they are not under his authority. Why would anybody be led by somebody who declares that they are not under the authority of who they're supposed to be teaching in? Go ahead.
And shall have linen breeches upon their loins. They shall not gird themselves with anything that causes sweat. And when they go forth into the utter court, even into the utter court to the people, they shall put off their garments wherein they ministered, and lay them in the holy chambers, and they shall put on other garments, and they shall not sanctify the people with their garments. Neither shall they shave their heads, nor suffer their locks to grow long, they shall only poll their heads. Neither shall any priest drink wine when they enter into the inner court. Neither shall they take for their wives a widow, nor her that is put away, but they shall take maidens of the seed of the house of Israel, or a widow that had a priest before.
Because when you look at this, if these women then are able to influence the decision making of these men, now you have a problem. So they have been instructed, look, you're going to be in charge. You got to be able to make some decisions. And the more things you have pulling at you, the more your decisions may be corrupted. Go ahead.
And they shall teach my people the difference between the holy and profane, and cause them to discern between the unclean and the clean. And in controversy they shall stand in judgment, and they shall judge it according to my judgments, and they shall keep my laws and my statutes in all my assemblies, and they shall hallow my Shabbats. And they shall come at no dead person to defile themselves, but for father or for mother, or for son or for daughter, for brother or for sister that has had no husband, they may defile themselves. And after he is cleansed, they shall reckon unto him 7 days.
So when you consider that they're not supposed to make themselves unclean for a dead body because of the job that they have, we have to then think about all of the funerals that we've gone to, and they brought the dead body right in the church, set it right at the altar, then opened the casket, and everybody walk around and touch it. That's a problem. That is a problem. But we have been given different things, so we don't see that that is an issue. If you go back to some of these churches, you're going to find a burial ground at the church. How the dead and the alive going to be in the same place? There's some churches that you got to walk through the graveyard before you get to the church. Go ahead.
And in the day that he goes into the sanctuary, onto the inner court, to minister in the sanctuary, he shall offer his sin offering, says the Adonai Yah. And it shall be unto them for an inheritance. I am their inheritance, and you shall give them no possession in Israel. I am their possession. They shall eat the meat offering and the sin offering and the trespass offering, and every dedicated thing in Israel shall be theirs. And the first of all the first fruits of all things, and every oblation of every sort of your oblations shall be the priest. You shall also give unto the priest the first of your dough, that he may cause the blessing to rest in your house. For the priest shall not eat of anything that is dead of itself, or torn, whether it be fowl or beast.
You know, when you read all of that and you see the great honor that Yahweh has bestowed upon the sons of Zadok, it is interesting that when you go out, Israel is claiming all of these tribes. Israel is, we from the house of David. We from, the tribe of Judah. And here you have this great authority. And Israel ain't running around talking about I'm from the house of Zadok. It's like we don't even know which things to claim. Israel is funny. Let's go to Exodus chapter 32. Exodus chapter 32, and we're going to start that at verse 7.
Verse 7. And Yahweh said unto Moshe, Go get you down, for your people which you brought up out of the land of Egypt have corrupted themselves. They have turned aside quickly out of the way which I commanded them. They have made them a molten calf, and have worshipped it, and have sacrificed thereunto and said, "This be your gods, O Israel, which have brought you up out of the land of Egypt."
And all we needed was a small separation, and we were right back with the gods of Egypt. No time flat. Go ahead.
And Yahweh said unto Moshe, "I have seen this people, and behold, it is a stiff-necked people. Now therefore let me alone, that my anger may wax hot against them, and that I may consume them, and I'll make of you a great nation." And Moshe besought Yahweh his Elohim, and said, "Yahweh, why does your wrath wax hot against your people, which you have brought forth out of the land of Egypt with great power and with a mighty hand?"
Now, when you hear Moshe saying that, it may seem as though Moshe is being soft on the people. All right, but he's not. He's standing in the breach. He does not want them to be consumed, but that don't mean he's finna go over there and sugarcoat his conversation when he get to him. Go ahead.
"Wherefore should the Egyptians speak and say, for mischief did he bring them out, to slay them in the mountains and to consume them from the face of the earth? Turn from your fierce anger and repent of this evil against your people. Remember Abraham, Esaac, and Israel, your servants, to whom you swore by your own self, and said unto them, I'll multiply your seed as the stars of heaven, and all this land that I have spoken of will I give unto your seed, and they shall inherit it forever. And Yahweh repented of the evil which he thought to do unto his people. And Moshe turned and went down from the mount, and with the two tables of the testimony, were in his hand. The tables were written on both their sides, on the one side and on the other side were they written. And the tables were the work of Elohim, and the writing was the writing of Elohim, graven upon the tables. And when Yahshua heard the noise of the people as they shouted, he said unto Moshe, There's a noise of war in the camp. And he said, It is not the voice of them that shout for mastery, neither is it the voice of them that cry for being overcome, but the noise of them that sing do I hear. And it came to pass, as soon as he came near unto the camp, that he saw the calf and the dancing, and Moshe's anger waxed hot, and he cast the tables out of his hands and brake them beneath the mount. And he took the calf which they had made and burnt it in the fire, and ground it to powder, and strawed it upon the water, and made the children of Israel drink of it.
Right. Moshe has loyalty to Israel, but he has a greater loyalty to Yahweh. So even though he spoke for them, he is not coming and sugarcoating what they've done. Go ahead.
And Moshe said unto Aaron, What did this people unto you, that you have brought so great a sin upon them? And Aaron said, Let not the anger of my master wax hot. You know the people, that they're set on mischief. For they said unto me, Make us gods, which shall go before us. For as for this Moshe, the man that brought us up out of the land of Egypt, we know not what is become of him. And I said unto them, Whosoever has any gold, let them break it off. So they gave it me. Then I cast it into the fire, and there came out this calf. And when Moshe saw the people were naked, for Aaron had made them naked unto their shame among their enemies, then Moshe stood in the gate of the camp, and said, Who's on Yahweh's side? Let him come unto me. And all the sons of Levi gathered themselves together unto him. And he said unto them, Thus says Yahweh Elohim of Israel, Put every man his sword by his side, and go in and out from gate to gate throughout the camp, and slay every man his brother, and every man his companion, and every man his neighbor. And the children of Levi did according to the word of Moshe, and there fell of the people that day about 3,000 men.
So, when it came down to this, who is on Yahweh's side, Israel had to prove it by slaying Israel. That is something that we don't even consider. That is a stage that we may have to go through. Let's go to our Numbers chapter 18. Numbers 18, and we're going to start that at verse 1.
Verse 1. And Yahweh said unto Aaron, You and your sons and your father's house with you shall bear the lawlessness of the sanctuary, and you and your sons with you shall bear the lawlessness of your priesthood, and your brethren also the tribe of Levi, the tribe of your father, bring with you, that they may be joined unto you and minister unto you. But you and your sons with you shall minister before the tabernacle of witness. And they shall keep your charge, and the charge of all the tabernacle. Only they shall not come near to the vessels of the sanctuary and the altar, that neither they nor you also die. And they shall be joined unto you, and keep the charge of the tabernacle of the congregation, for all the service of the tabernacle, and a stranger shall not come near unto you. And you shall keep the charge of the sanctuary, and the charge of the altar, that there be no anger any more upon the children of Israel.
So we know that later on, Yahweh began to deal with specific families when it comes down to those powers, to those abilities to serve in those specific things. Go ahead.
And I, behold, I have taken your brethren the Levites from among the children of Israel. To you they are given as a gift for Yahweh, to do the service of the tabernacle of the congregation. Therefore you and your sons with you shall keep your priest office for everything of the altar, and within the veil, and you shall serve. I have given your priest office unto you as a service of gift, and the stranger that comes near shall be put to death. And Yahweh spake unto Aaron, Behold, I also have given you the charge of mine heave offerings of all the hallowed things of the children of Israel. Unto you have I given them by reason of the anointing, and to your sons by an ordinance forever. This shall be yours of the most holy things reserved from the fire, every oblation of theirs, every meat offering of theirs, and every sin offering of theirs, and every trespass offering of theirs, which they shall render unto me, shall be most holy for you and for your sons. In the most holy place shall you eat it, every male shall eat it, it shall be holy unto you. And this is yours, the heave offering of their gift, with all the wave offerings of the children of Israel. I have given them unto you, and to your sons, and to your daughters with you, by a statute forever. Everyone that is clean in your house shall eat of it. All the best of the oil, and all the best of the wine, and of the wheat, the first fruits of them which they shall offer unto Yahweh, them have I given you. And whathersoever is first ripe in the land, which they shall bring unto Yahweh, shall be yours. Everyone that is clean in your house shall eat of it.
Now, remember now, these things are given unto the Levites, but we also see that Yahweh was given, they have a job to do. And if they don't perform that service, then all of these things, should they still receive them? But see, we have situations where people are taking all of those things, but then when you look at the duty or the jobs that they're doing, they're not performing those services, but they're receiving those things of the children of Israel. You have people who call themselves by either this title or that title. When you add up, okay, you teaching, you receiving tithes, you can't be nothing but a priest. I don't care what you want to call yourself. How are you receiving these things if that's not what you are? Go ahead.
Everything devoted in Israel shall be yours. Everything that opens the matrix in all flesh, which they bring unto Yahweh, whether it be of man or beast, shall be yours. Nevertheless, the firstborn of man shall you surely redeem, and the firstling of unclean beasts shall you redeem. And those that are to be redeemed from a month old shall you redeem, according to your estimation, for the money of 5 shekels, after the shekel of the sanctuary, which is 20 gerahs. But the firstling of a cow, or the firstling of a sheep, or the firstling of a goat, you shall not redeem. They are holy. You shall sprinkle their blood upon the altar, and shall burn their fat for an offering made by fire, for a sweet savor unto Yahweh. And the flesh of them shall be yours, as the waved breast and as the right shoulder are yours. All the heave offerings of the holy things, which the children of Israel offer unto Yahweh, have I given you and your sons and your daughters with you by a statute forever. It is a covenant of salt forever before Yahweh, unto you and to your seed with you.
Right. And this is not given to them. It is given to them because of their service. We like to receive, but won't do the service. We want the check, but we didn't show up to go to work. Go ahead.
And Yahweh spake unto Aaron, You shall have no inheritance in their land, neither shall you have any part among them. I am your part and your inheritance among the children of Israel. And behold, I have given the children of Levi all the tenth in Israel for an inheritance, for their service which they serve, even the service of the tabernacle of the congregation. Neither must the children of Israel henceforth come near to the tabernacle of the congregation, lest they bear sin and die. But the Levites shall do the service of the tabernacle of the congregation, and they shall bear their lawlessness. It shall be a statute forever throughout your generations, that among the children of Israel they have no inheritance. But the tithes of the children of Israel, which they offer as a heave offering unto Yahweh, I have given to the Levites to inherit. Therefore I have said unto them, among the children of Israel they shall have no inheritance.
Right. So then one thing connects to another. They don't have an inheritance of land. That is what qualifies them to receive those tithes. Go ahead.
And Yahweh spake unto Moshe, saying, Thus speak unto the Levites, and say unto them, When you take of the children of Israel the tithes which I have given you from them for your inheritance, then you shall offer up an heave offering of it for Yahweh, even the 10th part of the tithes. And this your heave offering shall be reckoned unto you, as though it were the corn of the threshing floor, and as the fullness of the wheat winepress.
So then the priests, although they receive the tithes, have to also give tithes. Go ahead.
Thus you also shall offer an heave offering unto Yahweh of all your tithes, which you receive of the children of Israel. And you shall give thereof Yahweh's heave offering to Aaron the priest. Out of all your gifts you shall offer every heave offering of Yahweh, of all the best thereof, even the hallowed part thereof out of it. Therefore you shall say unto them, when you have heaved the best thereof from it, then it shall be counted unto the Levites as the increase of the threshing floor and as the increase of the winepress. And you shall eat it in every place, you and your households, for it is your reward for your service in the tabernacle of the congregation.
It is your reward for your service. It wasn't just given to you because you was Levi. See, this is how we do things, because we've allowed people to give us some little false chart, right? So then because of the chart, we then believe that we are due certain things. You not do the things because of the tribe. You do the things because of the service. Show me your service. Go ahead.
And you shall bear no sin by reason of it, when you have heaved from it the best of it. Neither shall you pollute the holy things of the children of Israel, lest you die.
All right, let's go to Judges chapter 16. See, the service is where the loyalty is shown. This is why some priests will do some jobs, other priests will do other jobs. They have to earn the right to do those jobs. Judges chapter 16, and I want you to start that at verse 5.
And the masters of the Philistines came up unto her, and said unto her, Entice him, and see wherein his great strength lies, and by what means we may prevail against him, that we may bind him to afflict him. And we will give you every one of us 1,100 pieces of silver.
All right, so now you have this man who has this great strength, but they figure, you know what? I think we can overtake him, and we need for you to find out where his strength lies. So now we have a dilemma. Does the woman have more loyalty to her husband, or does she have more loyalty to her land? This is why the first question was asked when he went toward the woman. Ain't that some people are your own people that you can deal with? Because this may end up being a problem. And so it became. Go ahead.
Delilah said to Samson, "Tell me, I pray you, wherein your great strength lies, and wherewith you might be bound to afflict you." And Samson said unto her, "If they bind me with 7 green withs that were never tried, then shall I be weak, and be as another man." Then the masters of the Philistines brought up to her 7 green withs, which had not been dried, and she bound him with them. Now there were men lying in wait, abiding with her in the chamber. And she said unto him, "The Philistines be upon you, Samson." And he brake the withs, as a thread of tow is broken when it touches the fire. So his strength was not known. And Delilah said unto Samson, "Behold, you have mocked me, and told me lies. Now tell me, I pray you, wherewith you might be bound."
Now, here is some serious problem. Why does this woman want to know how to destroy her man? And why does the man entertain Go ahead.
And he said unto her, "If they bind me fast with new ropes that never were occupied, then shall I be weak and be as another man." Delilah therefore took new ropes and bound him therewith, and said unto him, "The Philistines be upon you, Samson." And there were liars in wait abiding in the chamber, and he brake them from off his arms like a thread. And Delilah said unto Samson, "Hitherto you have mocked me, and told me lies. Tell me wherewith you might be bound." And he said unto her, "If you weaveth the 7 locks of my head with the web." And
But now, you notice she bit by bit getting closer and closer because she weighing him down. Now he got all this physical strength, but herein lies the problem. See, a man has physical muscle, so he fights with that. A woman does not have physical strength, so she got to fight with this. Most men be in the middle of a fight before they realize they in one. She done swung 4 times. She done swung 4 times and you like, "Are we fighting?" Cause she using this. Go ahead.
And she fastened it with the pin, and said unto him, "The Philistines be upon you, Samson." And he awaked out of his sleep, and went away with the pin of the beam, and with the web. And she said unto him, "How can you say, I love you?"
Now she done pulled out the big gun. See, she had that little 22 didn't hurt him. She said, "You know what? Let me get that Glock 40. I know I can lay him down with this Glock 40. So she done pulled out the big gun now. How can you say you love me? Go ahead.
"When your heart is not with me. You have mocked me these 3 times, and have not told me wherein your great strength lies." And it came to pass, when she pressed him daily with her words, and urged him, so that his soul was vexed unto death,
All right.
that he told her all his heart,
There you go. See? There you go.
and said unto her, "There has not come a razor upon my head, for I've been a Nazarite unto Elohim from my mother's womb. If I be shaven, then my strength will go from me, and I shall become weak, and be like any other man." And when Delilah saw that he had told her all his heart, she sent and called for the masters of the Philistines, saying, "Come up this once, for he has showed me all his heart." Then the masters of the Philistines came up unto her, and brought money in their hand. And she made him sleep upon her knees, and she called for a man.
Look at that. Made him sleep upon her knees. Boy, she got him. You talking henpecked? He eating corn right out of her hand. She means him no good, and he has watched time after time that she has been about her own agenda, and he keep entertaining it. Keep entertaining it. Each time she has showed him she is about her agenda, not his. He keep entertaining it. After entertaining it several times, she still got him sleeping on her knees. Got him. Easy to cut your hair that way. Go ahead.
And she caused him to shave off the 7 locks of his head, and she began to afflict him, and his strength went from him. And she said, the Philistines be upon you, Samson. And he awoke out of his sleep and said, I'll go out as at other times before, and shake myself. And he knew not that Yahweh was departed from him.
Now, we have to look back at some things. Now, Samson was a man of great strength that came to naught because his ultimate loyalty was given unto a woman, his woman, whose objectives were after her own desires, not his. But his love for his woman blinded him from what was clearly visible to everyone else. Now, was it that Samson knew it not? Or was it that he decided that his loyalty to her was over all other issues of life? Let's back up. Let's go to Judges chapter 14. So even in these instances, was he really unaware? You look at a situation and say, man, he just kept getting fooled. Was he really fooled? Or did he make a decision? Go ahead.
I mean, with every trial, she would say this, the Philistines are upon you, and you realize that she's trying everything you tell her.
Right.
The clues are all there.
Right. But nobody blinder than a man in love. Judges chapter 14, let's start at verse 1.
And Samson went down to Timnath, and saw a woman in Timnath of the daughters of the Philistines. And he came up and told his father and his mother, and said, I have seen a woman in Timnath of the daughters of the Philistines. Now therefore get her for me to wife. Then his father and his mother said unto him, Is there never a woman among the daughters of your brethren, or among all my people, that you go to take a wife of the uncircumcised Philistines? And Samson said unto his father, Get her for me, for she pleases me well. But his father and his mother knew not that it was of Yahweh that he sought an occasion against the Philistines, for at that time the Philistines had dominion over Israel.
So Yahweh even using this situation because he know that concerning this woman, it's about to be some serious issues come forth. Now, why is he asking the daddy? Get her.
Custom.
Custom and money. That whole, hello sir, how you doing, Mr. Johnson? I am in love with your daughter. I am so in love with your daughter, I don't know what to do. So I'd like her hand in marriage. Well, I'm gonna need you to put something in my hand. What you got? You ain't got nothing? Get out of here and don't come back until you have something. So what he gotta do? Daddy, I know you've been saving up. I know I seen those statements come here. You got savings. Look, Daddy, get me this woman. But her daddy won't talk to me. I ain't got no sheep, no goat, no cow, no nothing. I need you to go down there and talk to this man. Get her for me. That's why you got to talk to his daddy. See, we keep thinking that we getting something because, we done slid in and got something for free. Really, was it free? And you got to look at what you got. Right? Read, bro.
Then went Samson down, and his father and his mother, to Timnath, and came to the vineyards of Timnath. And behold, a young lion roared against him. And the Spirit of Yahweh came mightily upon him, and he rent him as he would have rent a kid, and he had nothing in his hand. But he told not his father or his mother what he had done. And he went down and talked with the woman, and she pleased Samson well. And after a time he returned to take her, and he turned aside to see the carcass of the lion. And behold, there was a swarm of bees and honey in the carcass of the lion. And he took thereof in his hands, and went on eating, and came to his father and mother, and he gave them, and they did eat. But he told not them that he had taken the honey out of the carcass of the lion. So his father went down unto the woman, and Samson made her a feast, and Samson made there a feast, for so used the young men to do. And it came to pass, when they saw him, that they brought 30 companions to be with him. And Samson said unto them, I will now put forth a riddle unto you. If you can certainly declare it me within the 7 days of the feast and find it out, then I will give you 30 sheets and 30 changes of garments. But if you cannot declare it me, then shall you give me 30 sheets and 30 changes of garments. And they said unto him, Put forth your riddle, that we may hear it. And he said unto them, Out of the eater came forth meat, and out of the strong came forth sweetness. And they could not in 3 days expound the riddle. And it came to pass on the 7th day that they had said unto Samson's wife, Entice your husband, that he may declare unto us the riddle, lest we burn you and your father's house with fire. Have you called us to take that we have? Is it not so? And Samson's wife wept before him and said, You does but hate me.
Wait a minute. So we see this tactic worked before. This is how she knew on that other one to bring forth them tears, because them tears bring forth some things. See? So here it is. She wept before him and said, Does you but hate me? So the other crying tears was, what? You don't love me. The other one is, you hate me. Okay, same tactic then.
And love me not.
You know?
You does hate me and love me not.
Right, same thing. All right, with the tears. Okay? So this is how the strongest man can be brought to nothing, can be made to change his loyalty. Go ahead.
You have put forth a riddle unto the children of my people, and have not told it me. And he said unto her, Behold, I have not told it my father nor my mother, and shall I tell it you? And she wept.
Now, had he stuck with his guns, he'd been all right. Go ahead.
And she wept before him the 7 days.
There you go.
While their feast lasted.
Oh man, you can't withstand 7 minutes of this. Just 7 days. Go ahead.
And it came to pass on the 7th day that he told her, because she lay sore upon him. And she told the riddle to the children of her people. And the men of the city said unto him on the 7th day before the sun went down, What is sweeter than honey? And what is stronger than a lion? And he said unto them, If you had not plowed with my heifer, you had not known out my riddle. You would have not found out my riddle.
So did he not already know? Did he not already know when these other things had taken place? He had already known how that was going to go down. When they began to go at him, he already knew what was the outcome. He didn't just find out that this is how this was going to go down. At some point, we have to decide where we're going to allow our loyalty to be placed. We're going to have to make that decision. And we're going to have to stick to those guns, because Yahweh is going to make us show where we're going to stand. That's all that we're going to do for today. Remember the Sabbath to keep it holy. Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.